Hello, welcome. I am Young Pei Choi, VP of Programs for Irvington's PTSA. Welcome to our career series on education. Joining us today, we have two teachers and we have a director from the district office. Okay, and I will go over some introductions about them. First, I would like to share screen. Let's see, where is this? Okay, can you guys see this? Can everybody see that? All right, so this is our part 3 of the career series. The first one was about getting ready for college. The second one we had last week was about the medical career. And then now we are appreciating the education industry. So first I'd like to start with this quote, because with all the careers out there, we would not really have the careers if we didn't have the teachers that are valuable to teaching us those skills that we need, whatever it be computer science, engineering, or medicine. Okay, the teachers help us to do our work and change the world, so to speak. So over here, you see, I looked up on the, whoops, let me go back, on the US News and World Report for best colleges for getting a degree in education for 2023, 2024. And as you can look at the list, that's the cost of the tuition only. So, and when I say that, I'm saying that doesn't include the money that you're going to pay for food, living expenses, maybe books, and what have you that you need for going to college. And then some of them you'll see as an out-of-state and in-state cost. Okay, and then the ones that don't have that, that means it's the same cost, whether you're from out of state or in state to that. Okay, and then what can I, if you go into education, what kind of job can I get? There's a whole long different list. Okay, and when I say teachers, you could be anywhere from preschool teacher, kindergarten teacher, elementary school teacher, the middle school teachers, secondary school teachers, which are the high school teachers, even in college. We usually refer to those more as professors or so. And then there's also even area of special education. And there's also administrators, which basically include principal and maybe the assistant principals and other people who that parents can go to for help. Okay, how to become a teacher? Well, in California, you first need to get a bachelor's degree, a 4-year program. Then you join an accredited education program, unless the undergrad you're doing is already going towards becoming a teacher, right? Then you would have to gain experience as a student teacher and take the necessary exams to get certified. After you've passed all that and gotten that, then you can receive teacher certification. Now, in the state of California, the organization is CTC. In other states, the name could be a little different. They're the organization that issues the teacher credential. And then you can find a job at EdJoin. And that is actually national. Once you qualify finding a job, you can go and you have to get a background check and fingerprints done before you can be a teacher. And then teachers also always continue to improve on themselves by taking continuing education unit courses. It could be different from whichever district you work for. Okay. Exams to take to be a teacher. Okay, in California. Take the CBEST, which stands for California Basic Education Skills Test, the CSET, California Subject Examinations for Teacher. The CSU stands for California State University Early Assessment Program or Placement Exams. The RECA, which the rumored to be eliminated by 2025, when the components of that is incorporating teacher performance assessment. And this is where I got that information from, EdSource. There is actually a shortage in teachers for California. So the California Department of Education actually is hoping and promoting that people would like to go into becoming an educator, even if you're already in another job field. Maybe you can try to contact them to become a teacher. So this is information if you want to, if you're interested. To ask at Irvington, what will help me become a teacher, or what schools I should try to apply to for teaching, or any other questions, you can contact one of our Irvington High School counselors. Okay, so this is the list. If you have maybe some college that you know that is good for becoming a teacher, and maybe you would like to find out more information, you can ask Bindu Chopla, who's our Irvington High School College and Career Specialist. And she's located in the Career Center. So your student or the students who are on this call, you guys can find her, okay, and her hours are before, after school, during lunchtime, or flex time. Or you can email her first too. Speakers today, okay, we have Jamie Choi. She currently is a Mandarin immersion TK teacher at Bringhurst Elementary School. She has a BS from UC San Diego with a major in biology and a minor in education. Master's in education from UC San Diego. She has worked as a MI kindergarten teacher at Stonebray Elementary in Hayward, and then worked many years as an MI kindergarten teacher at Azaveda Elementary in Fremont. And then we have Emily Chow. She currently is a second grade teacher at Wybell Elementary School. She has a BA from UC Berkeley with a major in psychology. She received her teaching credential from Cal State East Bay, and she has a lot of numerous years of experience, first working as a teacher at Morrison Academy in Taiwan, and she has worked at Patterson Elementary and Maloney Elementary before landing at Wybell, and those schools are in Fremont as well. And we have Ellie Wasser, Director of Assessment and Accountability at the district office. He has a BS in physics from University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington, MS in educational leadership from California State University, East Bay in Hayward. And he actually has gone through a lot of experience. He first worked as a science and mathematics teacher at Newark Memorial High School and the Newark Junior High School. He was a dean of students at Newark Memorial, assistant principal, Newark Memorial. Then he became a principal at Birch Grove Primary School, and then principal at Ardenwood Elementary School for a few years before going to the district office to become the Director of Assessment and Accountability. We will start off with Jamie Choi. She will share her experience and tell more detail about the bio that I had talked about.
Thank you, Youngpei. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm glad you guys are here, interested in potentially coming into the education fields. So I'm just here to kind of tell my story, how I got into education, what it was like for me, and to see if I can help answer any questions for you guys. But to tell you a little bit about how I got into education, is from a young age, I knew that I always wanted to work with children. I kind of debated between a teacher or a pediatrician. And I debated that actually, although pediatricians, they make a huge difference, and they make they're super important, but they don't actually spend so much time building their relationships with the kids. So that's why I veered towards teaching, where you actually get to interact with the kids daily, get to see them for the whole 9 to 10 month school year, get to build deeper connection and deeper relationship to have a meaningful, lasting impact. So that's why I chose teaching at a young age. I also had a lot of teachers in my own educational career that were really, really awesome teachers, and it made me really admire them. They were my mentors, especially one of my high school bio teachers. She was really, really awesome in making me love bio, first of all, because that's actually what I ended up majoring in college, as because she was such an awesome teacher. Even though I knew I wanted to be a teacher and wanted to go into education, I didn't really need a biology degree. I still majored in bio just because she had instilled that love of science in me. So then the school that I went to was UCSD, University of California, San Diego, and they actually didn't have an education major at the time. So I minored in education then. And I continued after my 4 years of undergrad to stay there for grad school, where I got my teaching credential and my master's program, because they had an accelerated 1 year program. So I basically did my first year of master's in undergrad, so that I could get my master's and credential in 1 year. And they do have a lot of other schools have that kind of program as well. You just kind of have to know which schools, research which ones are a good fit for you. And depending on whether you want to go into elementary or secondary, find a good balance, I guess. For me, even though I knew I wanted to teach elementary, I also ended up getting my secondary credential as well, because after you get your multiple subject credential, for me, it only required one more class to obtain my single subject credential in biology as well, because I was a bio major. So I have both single subject and multiple subject credentials, as well as a BCLAD in Mandarin, because growing up, we also spoke Mandarin at home. So that's an additional thing that you can look into if you speak another language, to get BCLAD in that language as well. There are a lot of immersion programs that are popping up all over the place, especially here in Fremont. We have our Mandarin immersion program and our Spanish dual immersion program as well. So when I first started teaching, it was really actually the opposite of now, where it's really hard to find a job teaching. So that's actually why I went into immersion, because I couldn't find a job, a general education job. So I kind of found my niche of Mandarin immersion, and kindergarten fit really well. So I was kind of just placed into that position, but I really enjoyed it, because kindergarten is the foundational grade of a child's educational career. So having students who go in their first year of public school, getting them to love school, getting them to love learning, to build that foundation of what is school? This is their first year of school. So I feel like that was really foundational in my experience as a teacher. I don't know if Emily has anything to share separately, but I think if you have any questions, I will also love to be able to answer them later as well.
I think teaching is one of the professions that, like, when kids are little, you kind of think like, oh yeah, when you grow up, you might want to be a teacher, because it's such a you know, like everybody knows who a teacher is. And you think about in your schooling, in your education, there's like at least one or two teachers that have really affected you, either negatively or positively. So, you know, teaching is one of those careers that everybody knows about. Yeah. So when I was little, I was thinking I'll be either a ballerina or a teacher, and the ballerina thing didn't work out, so I'm a teacher. But when I went to college, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll you know, do one of the Asian kind of approved majors of biology or engineering or law or something. But that after taking some classes, I decided, no, that's not for me. What I really like is working with children. So I decided to major in psychology, and I graduated with a psych degree. And then I decided to just try out being a teacher because I really enjoyed, you know, working with children and then seeing those light bulbs light up, and those aha moments were really important to me. So I became a teacher. And I've been teaching since 2000, so over 20 years now of experience. I'm actually, since we have such a small group, I'm actually more interested in why our parents or students who are here have decided to attend this. What are your interests in this career or in teaching? And so if you guys have questions, please ask.
Or you could type it in the chat as well, because I'm looking at that.
As Youngpei has mentioned, I've taught kindergarten through third grade in private school, public school. Most of it has been in Fremont. So I've taught in 3 different schools in Fremont, and I did teach in a private school, international school, when I first started for a couple of years. So that was a rich and interesting experience.
One of the things that I thought of when Young Hui was giving the presentation that I forgot to mention during my spiel because I was nervous was continuing education. Even though I've been a teacher for 14 years now, this past summer I was taking a lot of classes to move to my new position this year as a TK teacher. They're early education classes, early childhood education classes, because each age group of children is very, very different. So you really do need to get specialized in depending on which age group of child you're looking for to be able to teach. For early childhood, you do need a lot of ECD classes. For multiple subject for elementary school, but then also you need a lot of classes for adolescents and up just primary and upper grade and secondary. So depending on the age of your pupils, you also need to be specialized as well.
Thank you. I think Emily, did you finish talking about yourself, or did you have more to say about you?
I don't have much to say about myself. I'd rather hear more about you know, why our friends here have decided to join this particular career series. Oh, and Ellie looks like
we have Mr. Wasser. Ellie Wasser has made it. So I don't know, Mr. Wasser, Ellie, if you would like to start your spiel, because Jamie and Emily have already talked about their experiences and why they became a teacher. And you have a lot to share in the fact that you were a teacher before, and then you were also
I had to apologize, right?
in principal. So maybe you'd like to share that with everybody.
Sure thing. And I hate to say this right from the beginning, but it says my internet is unstable, so I'm going to exit and come right back in if that's all right.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So do we have any questions right now yet for the teachers, for Miss Choi, Jamie Choi, and for Emily Chow. They're both elementary school teachers. So did any of the students, I know some of the students are on, did you have any particular questions that you have before Mr. Wasser gets on? He's having technical difficulties. I think everybody's very shy today. Well, I will start off, right, by asking how much work goes into being a teacher. Perhaps both of you, either of you can talk about that.
I think it really depends on your position. But speaking for MITK, especially this year being my first year of TK, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Especially for MI, because we as teachers, we make our own curriculum. There's curriculum that we're provided with by the district. And then on top of, we also make our own activities, our own resources. So this year, especially on top of my classes and the building a new curriculum, and TK is very hands-on. So we're learning through play, we're learning through experience, we're learning through exploration. Requires a lot of not only time, but also resources and money and connections to find all of these things that we're using in the classroom. So for me, I guess if you're looking for a time of day, I'm out of the house by 7:15 in the morning, and I don't usually get back till like 5 p.m. around. But depending on how far along you are in your years and how much experience, it does get lighter, it does get easier. It does get, once you've built your, I guess, foundation of your teaching, it becomes a lot easier after that. It's a lot less of a time commitment. But it's always going to be a commitment when you have new kids that you're trying to get to know every year, new families that you're trying to connect to.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ms. Chow?
I'd say it's about like maybe 8 hours at school, because there's a 6-hour workday at school, and then you have a couple of hours of like preparation, lesson planning, or meeting with other teachers or stuff like that. And then usually you bring some work home, like all the correcting or things like that. And then your workday usually that includes responding to emails from parents or coworkers, or reading emails from district or whatever, stuff like that. So I would say 8 hours plus for each day, because you have of course the school day, and then you have papers to correct when the school day's over.
Okay, thank you, both of you. I'm going to turn it over to Ellie Wasser, so he can go and talk about his experience as a teacher, all the way to principal, to now a director at the district office. So Ellie.
Well, hearing the last guest talk about the number of hours, most certainly, I think that's probably true to time at the site itself, but I know that any dedicated educators spending also hours at home thinking about how they're, the work is most certainly constant, but it's a joy, because ultimately the most enriching things I think about working in the education profession. Teacher, and also had the pleasure of being a mathematics teacher at a high school level, But ultimately, what I really enjoyed was working with my colleagues and trying to establish systems that would better that I was at. And so that's kind of how I initially got into administration, is wanting to the experience that students had at school was all that better.
I think he might still be having internet issues.
But that undoubtedly is true. Young pair, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
I'm not sure if
we
you're able to hear
hear
me or not.
choppy
Oh, wonderful.
responses. Yeah, did you want
Well,
to
other than
also
what
share,
came
like,
out very choppy, what?
yeah, did you want to share some of the responsibility? What's the difference between being a principal as opposed to being a teacher?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being a principal, you know, I would have to say it's very to deal with all of the one wonderful things about the school day. And as is the case with any part of life, there's also sometimes blemishes or areas that need improvement. And so making sure that you're up to date on education code, making sure that labor practices are being adhered to at the site, both by state mandate as well as any of the local labor agreement staff. It's really a pretty expansive job to I'm not sure if the Fremont City Council would necessarily agree with that, but
And can you
one
speak
of the things
about
that
some of your responsibilities now in your current position as director at the district office?
yeah, assessment and accountability. And when I'm speaking with people about what my day-to-day job entails, I jokingly say school day, which is receiving their report card. And that's said with some sarcasm, but teachers have access to tools to be able to interact with their grade books, as well as generate report cards. That's kind of within the Fremont Unified School District, but the accountability part of both to schools, county, and the state of California for the Department of Education for different programs and requirements for making sure that Fremont Unified is doing what it, and so not only is that for academics, but that's reporting on measures relating to behavior with suspensions, any number of different measures beyond just what students are learning in their textbooks.
Thanks.
One of the big projects that I'm working on right now.
Oh no, keep on talking.
Go ahead. I'm
Is
sorry.
that
A little
it's
bit
just a lot
choppy
of
if I didn't know.
pause. That's why I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I must have switched between 3 networks here and can't find the right one for a stable connection. But one of the things I'm excited about right now in my job is on December 15th, something, and we've been working in the Department of Assessment and Accountability for a number how not only the district, but individual schools are performing, and it's a database that is open to the public. So parents, the community, students, they all can visit this public accountability database to see how their school is performing. And it compares this most recent year's performance to the prior year. And one of the things that I like about my job is that with my science and math background, data sets together and figuring out how all the pieces of the puzzle goes together. I think that kind of is something that I've enjoyed throughout the different roles that I've played in my educational career so far.
So, so you said about December 15th. Is that going to be like a launch that parents and students can will get information about logging into or so?
Yes, I think probably the easiest way that parents or students will get notice of that is they may be receiving already the community updates that the superintendent's office puts out, and there'll undoubtedly be a comment regarding Fremont Unified's performance on the California school dashboard, and it provides some comparison against how other school districts or how we against our neighboring school districts in the county, as well as across the east. And I think there'll be a lot to celebrate about Fremont Unified, but also a way for us to reflect on needed areas of improvement. So taking part in those that cycle of that we should celebrate, but also thinking about what are areas as a school district that we can continue to improve on.
Thank you. So I would like to now open the floor to questions. If anybody would like to have questions, like either generally for all 3 of our speakers, or maybe you have a particular question, you can raise your hand, and I will call on you, or you will type in the chat, and I can do that. Does anybody have a question right now? I think one thing that may be interested students or aspiring teachers probably would want to, I know they've asked for other careers. Doesn't make a difference. Is there certain AP classes you should be taking when you're in high school that will get you, more prepared for becoming a teacher, or eventually maybe becoming administrator, right? Do you have any thoughts on that? Any of you can reply to that.
Well, I think maybe it depends on what kind of teacher you want to be. Like for elementary school teacher, you kind of need broad knowledge in multiple subjects. So knowing a lot about, science and math and art and PE, you kind of need to know everything. So taking APs, I mean, it could be helpful, but also just having a broad knowledge in college or just kind of researching things yourself, that works too. Doesn't have to be APs. But I think for like high school, the high school teachers, they definitely need to have very specific knowledge in single subjects, right? So maybe Ellie can talk more on that, or
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Ellie or Jamie can talk because you have a single subject.
Yeah, well, at the high school level, that's exactly right. The single subject credential is most certainly specialized within a particular discipline. I have a credential that authorizes me to teach physics at the high school, and then a foundational level mathematics credential, which goes up to more or less algebra 2 at the high school. As a high school math teacher, they undoubtedly would want to make sure that they are enriching their schedule with math courses. But everybody that I work with has a wide variety of backgrounds, both in terms of the type of college they went to and the discipline they studied. So the beautiful thing about education is we need educators who are in any number of different specialties, degrees, are excellent entryways into the teaching profession. I don't think that you're limited to not pursue a career in education by any one degree that you choose in your.
Thanks. How would you say the burnout rate is for teaching? And how do you find balance between all the stress and all the demands of being a teacher, administrator, or director at district office level, as opposed to also dealing with your personal family life? Jamie, do you want to start on that, commenting on that one?
I think Ellie was gonna say something. I'm not sure if
Oh, well, the only thing that I was vacation, but if you're pursuing something that you are passionate about, I think one of the byproducts of pursuing that is you're going to have to constantly figure out how you're going to maintain a healthy work to life balance. And so for myself, I try to use technology by setting calendar reminders or other ways to remind myself this is to be taken care of while at work, while other items are to be taken care of, obviously at home. For being a district administrator, there are sometimes nighttime obligations because our board of trustees hold their meetings during the evening. Other committees hold their meetings during the evening, to make sure that you know when to turn it off and be able to spend quality time with.
So I fully agree with what Ellie had to say about work-life balance. I feel like any career that you go into, you could have your potential stressors that could burn you out. Teaching especially has a lot of stressors. It's a high demand, high pressure job. But at the same time, when you go and you see the kids that you teach and you build deep relationships with them and you see the progress that they're making, that you made that impact on them, it's so rewarding as a teacher. And to know that you're doing this all for them. You're doing this for the kids that you're teaching. You're doing this to just challenge them, to grow them, to mature them, to be the best that they can be in the time that you have them. It's very, very rewarding profession. So that kind of counteracts the burnout is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, there was a question that came in through the chat that says, is there any specific requirement to teach an AP class?
And the answer is both yes and no. I think the most general requirement is US history as an example. The most simple requirement would be for you to commission to teach social science courses. One courses are ones that have the formal endorsement and authorization of the College Board, which is a private for-profit company. Their requirement is that the coursework, the syllabus, the curriculum, the textbook, all aspects of that course are aligned with their requirements. So it's also familiar with that annual process for course submission. And in California, there's no additional certification that the state needs to award.
Okay, thank you. I want to also ask, since we're in this age of technology, and you guys have a lot of talk about the chat GPT, how much effect do you think it will have on education, and why? Well, I don't know if you know, at Miss Choi's TK level, definitely.
That's what I was just going to hop in to say. I'm like,
Right, but I don't know
that,
if Miss Chow has seen it, you know, at the elementary level, and
Yeah, I
maybe,
think some of the
also Mr.
some of the
Rosser.
4th and 5th grade teachers have talked about, like, okay, some of the kids, they might you know, copy and paste. And so, but thankfully there's like other technology that looks for these kind of chat GPT, these AI technology. And so teachers have to be a little bit more on top of technology to be able to keep up with the students.
Okay, thanks. And
I think anytime you have
would you, what would be, oh, yes, Allie, did you have something to say about that?
I was just gonna say, anytime you have an emerging technology, you know, it has the opportunity to cause problems. But I think when a photocopy machine was invented, people were probably having conversations about with the machine or the photocopy machine. And so I think central to any conversation about included or excluded from the school environment, but rather what's response can generate new ideas, and how can we ensure that students aren't plagiarize or take shortcuts in the learning process as a learning tool. And if I had an answer to that question, I think I would be a very rich one to have.
Yes, probably all would. I want to ask, what are the perks of being a teacher? And what advice you would have for those aspiring to become an educator?
So for me, one of the perks is as a TK or K teacher and seeing building the foundation of where kids start their public education. It's awesome to see them grow through the years and then come back and say, remember when we did that thing in kindergarten, or remember when this happened? And I get to see how much they grow and change and mature throughout the years. And that is a huge perk for me. It keeps me going. It's why I do what I do. Advice is, know why you're doing what you're doing, and do it with a passion. I mean, it is easy to kind of get lost in, like you mentioned before, there's a lot of burnout, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of challenges that teaching, in the teaching profession. But as long as you keep the reason why you became a teacher in your heart, and remember that and focus on that, and let your kids be your passion, you'll be fine. Yeah, and you'll be able to just impact and build relationships with these kids that will hopefully be your legacy as a teacher. Yeah.
Emily, do you have anything to add to that?
So I pretty much just echo what Jamie's saying. Perks is definitely the children, right? That's the whole reason to teach, is to see their growth, not just academic, but like emotional, social, and just as a whole person, and being able to interact with them, and having them for that year. And then also seeing the kids as they grow and come back. Sometimes I get to see the kids come back when they're middle schoolers or high schoolers, and that's just wonderful. That's definitely the reason. So you keep that in mind, because there is definite burnout. And I think, as we were talking about, yeah, you have to keep in mind the passion, the reason why you're doing it. And summers also help. Summer vacation also helps the burnout. Yeah. Yeah, keeping in mind, and then just balancing, like Ellie was saying, balancing work-life boundaries, which sometimes is hard to keep, because there's always needs. There's always more you could do for the kids. But just trying to keep those boundaries, and and just having fun with the children.
Ellie, do you have some advice?
I would say, yeah, and thinking to the summer comment, if I wouldn't say I have any regrets, but one of them now that I have my current job is it is a 12-month position. So summer break is the pace of the job and the different type of things that are worked on during the summer when students and staff are, that's one thing that I would caution anybody about in terms of getting into considering wanting to maintain that.
Okay, thanks. Is there
that
any
summer break. For me,
yeah, no, go ahead, Ellie.
oh, sure. I was in terms of joy and love of the profession. I super students just before they make that next big transition into with the advanced placement program for advanced placement exams. But getting to talk to students and families that are just so excited about what their next step in life is going to bring. And so feeling that I'm, for whatever component part of that, that excitement and being able to that next stage of their educational journey, that's a very rewarding feeling that I am constantly blessed to get to experience.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions they would have for our panelists? Well, I want to say thank you to Jamie, to Emily, to Ellie for all your experience sharing and your information, and also your advice for aspiring educators. I do want to talk before I close the meeting. I do want to share a screen and talk about the next career series that is coming up next month. Let me see. Here it is. This is one. Sorry, technical difficulties. Finding the right one. Too many windows open. Okay, I cannot find it right now. I don't know what happened to my. Okay, sorry. Well, anyway, I had the flyer up and I can't find it right now. The flyer for the next career series that we're having is on January 18th. It's going to be on legal careers. And we'll be hearing from 3 different lawyers to talk about that. I want to say again, thank you so much to Jamie Choi, Emily Chow, Ellie Wasser for your time and for sharing all the information. Thank you for the all the participants who came to hear about this. And have a good evening. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.